It's Spoilerin time, folks. This is the show where we take all that good work we do on Cordkillers, figuring out how to watch stuff, and talk about it. This week, we're going to spoil The Larry Sanders Show, episode 17 of season 4 and episode 1 of season 5. Larry's on vacation and everybody loves Larry. We're also going to talk a little bit about I Know This Much Is True, episode 3, and Warrior Nun, the first 2 episodes of the first season of Warrior Nun on Netflix. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood.
Hey, man, most importantly, I'm happy. I'm happy because I really like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And guess what's back? Guess what's back?
Amos?
24. Oh, no, sorry. Also Amos. Yes, no. It's happening, man. Hey, Amos, how are you doing, man?
I am well. I thoroughly enjoyed Warrior Nun. I don't want to presume, but I enjoyed it, and we'll see what you have to say about that.
Amos was, of course, on Cordkillers, and he's sticking around to talk Spoilerin time with us, simply to talk about Warrior Nun. So let's talk about Warrior Nun episodes 1 and 2, Psalm 46:5 and Proverbs 31:25. Just right off the top, I love that they named each of these after actual biblical verses, but just give you the chapter and verse. They don't give you the quote. And I went and looked them up. Yeah, I'm the guy who did that. And they definitely picked good quotes. They apply to these episodes.
Which were?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Psalm 46:5 is, God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. That's King James Version. Right. Proverbs 31:25 is, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Okay, so is it more what? We got elements of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We got elements of Preacher. If I was to describe all of this, I would say take Preacher, remove the over-the-top gore, enjoy the sci-fi combat within a religious context, and add female empowerment. Ta-da, you have Warrior Nun. Is that right?
Amos, what do you think? It feels pretty good. Yeah. It feels right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I did it. I solved Hollywood.
I really enjoyed the fact that the characters really seemed individual right from the bat. They really had, because you're watching the first 2 episodes, you don't have a lot of backstory or anything else with the characters, but the way they're written gives them their own personalities right from the first scene. They all have distinct personalities, and it's really easy to keep track of who's who because, well, that's a problem I sometimes have in TV. And the lead character, the way she develops and the way she discovers, not that she has powers, but that she's been empowered, and then she takes that, and instead of just trying to, figure out what happened or whatever else, she's like, no, I'm just going to enjoy this and understand that I now have a blessing. I have something that I can do with my life that I couldn't have done before.
And it's not just that she's deciding to do this. It's like she has a mandate from her roommate who said, looks to me like a glitch in the Matrix. Better make the absolute most of this while you can. So it's like, I'm with her. Normally I don't like seeing heroes do irresponsible things. But when a kid says, if I were you, I would do literally every irresponsible thing I could think of. I'm like, yeah, no, go nuts. Let's see.
And she doesn't know at this point, even through episode 2, what's going on. She just knows that she's alive and can walk. 2 things that she couldn't do yesterday.
Right.
And I think that makes sense. Is that I would just go and do stuff. There's some. It's funny. I feel like this series, at least in these 2 episodes, goes good world building, super complex situation into flat connective tissue, super complex situation, flat connective tissue. It's not consistently deep all the way through, but those complex notes that it hits are absolutely worth a little bit of flatness, getting me from place to place.
I know for me, and very rarely has this happened outside of maybe a Preacher, but one word, Divinium. I heard the word divinium shrapnel. And then I was like, I know exactly what kind of show this is. I'm 100% in. I buckle up. And that's all it took. What about you, Bryce?
I really dug it. It was great to dive in. Like, the worst thing they could have done is stop and say, we're the warrior nuns and we have guns and some of us have a halo
and if you look, we have buns,
shots,
and
just if
you say do something we don't like, then we'll shuns.
They could have just gotten into all of the unnecessary lore stuff, because like, not a smart show. I don't think we're really gonna get any major philosophical
it's
questions.
Got some powerful preacher vibes, right?
I didn't see Preacher. Still, but
Tom, preacher vibes? Yes, no.
I yes, in the organizational part of it, right? Like, obviously Ava is not preacher in any way. It's Ava is the Buffy side, right?
Right.
The organization is like, what if the preacher organization was less buffoonish,
right?
And had a little more of a darker, serious tilt to it. It might get lighter on later. I don't think it will, though.
I mean, but like right down to Giles having the glasses and having access to the library and the whole thing. Come on.
Yeah. No, it's good. And what's funny is, watching it, I thought Ava was EVA and thought it was an allusion to Eve, right? But it's AVA, so I guess it's an allusion to Ave Maria. And I'm also glad that the very obvious clash of, but this is a sinner girl, she can't be our chosen one, got put off till episode 3. Like, that was such a smart move, because I saw it coming. I was ready for it to come, and I knew who was going to say what things in the argument. Now I'm not as sure, because we've had some time to stew, and a few people have started to think about it. And now that they've captured her, I think that one character is definitely going to push to just, take it out of her. She was dead before, that's God's will. But we've had some time for people to mull it over and see a few more thoughts about it going on. So I don't feel like it's as obvious as it would have been if it had been in episode 1.
Have you walked a little bit ahead of us? Have you seen episode 3 or
no?
Okay. Because where I'm at is like, I grasp that, the majority of people are like, well, this is the plan. We're not going according to plan. Let's yank the thing out and put it in the right person. And Giles, who's definitely not Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, is like, well, maybe this is happening for a reason. But you started
to see a couple more of the sisters being sympathetic with him in the second episode.
Yeah.
And starting to question, which, again, I think if it had been episode 1, it would have been like you say, yep, nope, it's sorry, she's not really the chosen one, case closed. And now we've sowed a few more doubts there. That's
just a meat casket that we had it hidden for a little bit. Now we're going to yank it out.
I mean,
but she's a real
that's literally
girl.
the idea behind her acquiring the halo.
Right. They didn't think it would bring her back.
So to be honest, here's what I'm deeply in love with, is figuring out, how does a quadriplegic girl who has not been able to move her arms or legs since age 7 so piss off all of the nuns who take care of her that they roll their eyes when it comes to last rites? I'm going to guess that that's one sassy future warrior nun, and I can't wait to see that.
We also still didn't find out how Ava died, right? I don't think the Monsignor doesn't get out of her.
I'm getting murder vibes there.
Some real strong
murder vibes.
Right?
I'm sensing a suffocation by pillow or something.
Yeah, sort of like, can we be done with the,
it was the kid.
Am I leaning over?
They paid off
hard?
the kid. He did it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What was your guys' feeling about how they set up the first 2 episodes and introduced the main story plots, and with the primary point of exposition being a dialogue within her own head to herself? Because I thought that was done really well. I really enjoyed the tonal mystery in her voice, where she's trying to discover like what is going on, and through that she kind of catches us up with what's going on, along with the narration, or I don't say narration, the story of the preacher going to the the orphanage and actually asking the questions, and then we get a little bit more, and those two tying together. I thought it was really well done.
I think I'm a little bit corrupted having already seen Preacher. If you haven't seen Preacher, I think it'll land very, very well and feel fresh. I don't know. To me, this is just Preacher light. That's a diet Preacher
with a splash of Buffy.
Yes.
Yeah. With a twist of Buffy. I also got, I spent the majority of both episodes trying to figure out who Ava reminded me of. And I finally, at the very end, was like, she's got a little bit of Emilia Clarke in her.
Yeah.
Like that's what was hitting me. Right then my wife walks in and goes, "Oh, is that Emma?" Meaning, like, I don't know, Emma Stone? I'm like, "You mean Emilia Clarke?" She's like, no. And I'm like, "No, that's not her. It's totally a different person." So I don't know. I think this casting is great because I feel like people can project a lot of different, Buffy, Khaleesi, Emma Stone. I don't know.
Separately, I mean, look,
or Ellen Page. Maybe she meant Ellen Page.
There's certain things early on I'm very, very willing to forgive. And in this case, the fact that she just happens to fall in with 4 loafers who,
of course,
drift from Airbnb to Airbnb or whatever.
We should all be so lucky when we are used as a meat case for Divinium to fall in with 4 people who go around the world good-heartedly sneaking into empty Airbnbs.
Also, very subtle. JC is a nickname. Very subtle. Still enjoying it. Still loving all of it.
Yeah. It's super fun. As I said on text message, Warrior Nun, more like Warrior Fun.
Got him.
You still not laughing?
No, I mean, you still got him.
All right, fine. That is Warrior Nun, Psalm 46:5, and Proverbs 31:25, the first 2 episodes of season 1. All right. Thank you, Amos, so much for hanging out with us, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys very much. And let me take this as an opportunity to say that Hamilton is such an impactful media experience that the Let's Talk About Thrones crew, Richard Gunther, Jenny Josephson, and myself, have decided to take on Hamilton and talk about that and whatever else comes to our mind in the future as major media events that we really want to talk about. So cruise on by ritualmisery.com, find the podcast link, go down to Let's Not Talk About Thrones with brand new art that I modified by Garrett Weinzierl, and take a listen to us not talking about Thrones.
Put it on the record. Amos supports traitorism.
Thanks, Amos. Appreciate it, man. All right. Well, let's talk about I Know This Much Is True, episode 3, called 3, where Sheffer, played by Rosie O'Donnell, preps Dominic for a hearing with the Hatch Review Board that could decide his twin brother's fate. He also runs into an old classmate, and we get a flashback to some of the things that happened with a child's suspected murder / suicide that was the brother of a guy who's still around and working in maintenance at Hatch. And
Tom,
also,
before we begin, Tom,
I was just going to say one more thing about the summary and then turn it to you. But what do you need?
I mean, just to put it out there, this is harder than I thought, and I have a tendency to, on my list of homework, put it to the end, and this was another one I couldn't finish in time, and I will finish it. I got to like within 10 minutes of the end, but this is a hard show for me to watch. That's really all I have to say.
Yeah, no, I know that. And really all I was going to say is that one of the things that's complicating the story here is that Thomas's old home that Dominic wants him to be in is shutting down. So that now complicates things because they don't know where to send Thomas if he does get released from Hatch. And Dominic says, "I'll take care of him." Honestly, Brian, I know this is particularly difficult for you to watch for various reasons. It's just difficult to watch. Mm-hmm. I felt like episode 2 gave us a tiny bit of a break from episode 1, and then episode 3 just kind of came back and made it even harder by showing the way that they treated the child who was dead, and still kind of unsolved mystery, which I think we'll probably find out more about, which is unnecessary. We didn't need that to make this as a compelling story, but now we've got another complication on top of Dominic having to now meet his brother, who, I mean, that whole situation was just very, very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good summary of the entire series so far.
Yeah.
That was difficult to watch.
And Rosie O'Donnell, I think, also that
Continues to be amazing. She's great.
Killed it in this as sort of the reasonable, like, I know I'm going to draw lines. I'm not going to let you push me around, but I want to be your advocate. That character is super real.
Yeah.
And I went back to the first episode after we see the adult Drinkwater twin, the janitor, and he actually like calls him out by name in that in the conflict when Thomas is being ingested or brought in.
Ralph Drinkwater. He calls him by name.
He calls him by name, which makes that make way more sense rather than just appealing to what at the time seems like a random maintenance worker. I thought that was a really interesting dynamic because Dom has taken so much of Thomas's actions on his own shoulders. Like that is, if we're talking about, so the curse of this family, like that is Dom's part of the curse, is that he has to bear the weight of all of his family members' sins, now including the death of the Drinkwater girl, and how that affects his adult life, right? Because if I
suppose this episode, by episode 3, obviously episode 1 is very shocking. Episode 2, I thought we were gonna kind of get some breathing room, but instead they lay on us, the Sid's death of his own child. Episode 3, it's like, well, you guys can't 3 times in a row. It's not like you can, and then it's just still heavy. And then it's like, what am I watching?
Okay, so we're halfway through now. I mean, that's the part to hold on to, I guess, is that we're halfway done. And if you're going to watch a difficult show like this, and again, remember from episode 1, it was like, I'm not sure I need to see this right now. It's incredibly well done. And I'm sure it's very important, and I feel more that way by episode 3, but I'm not sure that I need to watch it. And we're in episode 3 of Spoilerin time, so people who need to hear this at this point, it's too late. But I would warn people, like, this isn't for everybody. It's not a you've got to see it kind of situation. But the reason to watch it would be that we learn something out of it, that we learn something by seeing people going through all this. And Bryce, I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like where we may be headed is what we will pull out of this is Dominic makes all the mistakes you shouldn't when going through difficult things. Trying to fix it all himself, trying to pretend like it's not going to bother him, shoving away problems rather than accepting help, trying to hurry up and just get a quick fix to things. And his battle with the Rosie O'Donnell character is emblematic of that.
Yeah, especially the scene between Dom and Thomas when he's just pleading for Thomas to like calm down, but the last thing someone who is getting wound up wants to hear is calm the F down, being shouted calm the F down, and there's a guard and they're talking about bringing in lake water and all that, and it highlights that after all these years Dom still doesn't really know the best way to take care of Thomas. And I'm assuming we will see that review in episode 4 in this coming week, but from everything Dr. Schaefer says, it sounds like they're going in with a major disadvantage from all of the media attention.
Well, and Dominic's got a broken relationship with his girlfriend, who tries to patch things up with him in order to tell him she's pregnant. And you see him just like, I can't even deal with that, and just shuts her out.
He really does. I mean, like, he just blows. Like, she might as well have announced her new high score on Centipede or whatever. Like, he cannot accept that as part of his world.
Well, and then, you know, for him, what I don't know if this is the part that you ended at, Brian, but then he goes and drives to his ex-wife's house and stares wistfully at it and remembers, you know, her coming back from this European vacation, and then smashes into a tree on the highway as he's reminiscing.
There's also an element of him making decisions for other people without. He has a communication problem. He doesn't communicate well.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, just to put it on the table, this is hard. This is a hard show for me to watch.
Do you want to add anything to that, or we just want to leave it right there?
I just want it logged on the record. Because if you don't say
difficult.
it, then it doesn't get written down.
Yeah, because you're better at communication than Dominic. Thank goodness. All right, folks. That is I Know This Much Is True, episode 3 of season 1. Let's talk about the Larry Sanders Show. That will cheer things up. Larry's on vacation, and Everybody Loves Larry. Season finale and season premiere. End of season 4 and beginning of season 5. Larry recovering from surgery. Sandra Bernhard takes over as guest host. He gets jealous. There's worried about attempts to steal the show, which actually sets up a plot point for the beginning of season 5, where the network hires Jon Stewart to be the permanent guest host, which
Jon Stewart.
Yeah. Jon Stewart at the beginning as a failed talk show host at that point, right? He talks about how, that's why they took my show away from me. This is in the interim from his original talk show before he takes over The Daily Show.
I did like that they didn't make a big deal about like they just accepted as if, yeah, of course he's getting his eyes done. That's what happens in this town, whatever. I also liked that, of course, what are you going to do when your eyes are being done? You're going to sit and watch your own show and fret over whether or not it's this way or that way. I don't know. All of that felt sufficiently petty. Was it the following one that was Jon Stewart or?
Yeah, Jon Stewart is mentioned in Larry's on Vacation, but he's actually appears in Everybody Loves Larry. In fact, most of the interesting stuff happens in Everybody Loves Larry. It's all about the Sandra Bernhard thing in Larry's on Vacation. Yeah. Everybody Loves Larry not only has Jon Stewart, but also has Hank's dispute with Elvis Costello and David Duchovny having a crush on Larry.
Very of the times idea plot point for the David Duchovny thing. Very.
I don't know how much there is to mine about the "you sold me a lemon" plot point, but I would love to hear your take on the Hank and David car, or sorry, Hank and Elvis car exchange.
I mean, it's a kind of a minor plot point. It's a very predictable Hank plot point, right? That he carelessly buys something and then it turns rotten and he blames everyone else. The only thing that makes it work is that it's Elvis Costello. And Elvis Costello, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame musician Elvis Costello, never admits there's a problem with it. Is just like kind of smiles his way through it. Like, she's a beauty, isn't she? You just got to treat her right, and she'll never let you down.
It's like a driving machine.
Delivers aphorism after aphorism to Hank. It's beautiful.
True story. I enjoyed this so much more once I decided that Elvis Costello was just Will Harris. Like once I made him Will Harris in my mind, it became so much more fun.
That's hilarious. Will Harris actually popped into my mind. This too. Yeah. I thought it was it was a cute little B plot. I'm not sure it works if you don't have a celebrity in that slot.
It really is. I mean, how many times have we had the Hank plot be, here's why Hank's got beef with the guest?
Yeah.
Like we're starting to, that is a very well trodden pattern, I feel like, for Larry Sanders by this point.
Yeah, I don't know that we want Hank I mean, if not Hank, then who? You know, I mean, at least Hank has Brian, which having a season behind us now, man, am I glad that they brought Brian on as his assistant, as somebody who's willing to, you know, like keep him on track and say like, that's a bit much and all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Also, the stunt casting of Juliana Margulis, I realized partway through was a big, like, that's this show has made it in season 4. They can get Juliana Margulis to show up, right? Because she was like TV royalty at the time.
I don't know who that is.
She was from ER.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was in the ER heyday.
Got it.
Gloria Steinem coming on to do a bit was also
insane,
incredibly interesting.
That was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And honestly, just giving Elvis Costello not only, you know, like a foil part with Hank, but a full musical number. I've noticed they do this not every episode, but more often it seems in these later seasons, they just give full musical numbers, and they have it worked into the plot. So you see, you know, Hank doing the stare at Elvis and all of that, but you're still getting the music from these musicians the way you would if they actually performed on a talk show.
Yeah, like in the early days, it seemed like they were doing it just to show that they could. But now it's like, well, we have to have something else going on. And so you get those story levels happening.
Honestly, a lot of times with talk shows or Saturday Night Live, I'm a little bit bored with the guests. But with these, I really enjoyed them. Maybe it's because I haven't heard these songs in forever, right? They're not playing the hit that you hear in the supermarket all the time. So I have not fast forwarded through these, and I would have thought I would have.
I would say it's almost certainly because there's just a little bit of story happening that is enough to keep you engaged while the music happens to be going on.
I do enjoy hearing these songs though. They're like blasts from the past. This whole rewatch is definitely a nostalgia play for me too. Like that colors all of my watching of it. It kind of brings me back to a time. David Duchovny has now turned into a recurring character on the Larry Sanders Show.
Capital C character.
Yeah. As you say, Bryce, it's a very of the time plot point for David Duchovny. But
I also, with both of these episodes, like we've got a new trajectory for the Larry Sanders Show, right? Like we see Jon Stewart like in this permanent guest host position, and he is like installed in the office in 501, and now Artie knows good and well that Larry's final days are in front of him. It's a good bit of motivation, a little fire under their seat to kind of so that we're not hitting the same stories over and over again, right? Because I think that's something that we had concerns about over the past few weeks.
What I don't know, and those of you who do, feel free to laugh at me, but I haven't looked ahead. I haven't watched ahead. I don't know if this continues to be a thing. Well, Jon Stewart keeps showing up as the permanent co-host, and I'm kind of intrigued to see if they use that, or if they just sort of like let that one rest and they don't mention it for several episodes.
We'll find out.
We'll find out next week on the Larry Sanders Show. All right, folks. Any other thoughts on Larry Sanders Show 417 and 501?
No, but I guess we're getting close enough to the end that we have to start thinking about what's next.
It's Gary Shandling's show.
No,
I'm just kidding. Yeah, we are. We've got probably, 2 full seasons minus that one episode of season 5. So we've got all of season 5, all of season 6 left to view. It's our tour through the 90s. Our tour through the 90s is almost over.
Jackie Hearn knows my kryptonite. She's like, Mr. Show. I mean, I'm just saying. Because I mean, it's like, if we just want to stay in the 90s, Mr. Show.
Let's just live in, yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for supporting us. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. You guys get these shows early. You get After Talk. We try to treat you right, and we thank you for supporting us. We will spoil you again next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.